One of the things that really frustrates me is the lack of true understanding of things such as the judgments that some Christian people make about other belief systems. Not just to pick on Christians, because other belief systems do the same thing to Christians. It goes on all over the place. And there's not a real true understanding of the truth, of reality of what's going on. So we jump to conclusions, people jump to conclusions that are not true. For example, if a person was to mention Zen in Christian circles, all these red flags would immediately go up, and it'd be like, okay, warning, 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 this guy is getting out there, which of course is what's happening in a lot of people's mind as they're watching this video as I've done it. But let's see, I would like to clarify a little bit. Not that I understand what Zen is so greatly. In fact, I had to look it up here to see if what I was thinking about in my mind was actually true about it. So I'd like to read it, and then I'll explain a little bit about that deeper understanding between differing camps, and if we can actually live in reality instead of false paradigms that separate us from each other. So, what is Zen? This is from zenstudies.org. I always have to give credit where I'm getting my material from. So zenstudies.org says this. What is Zen? It is both something we are, our true nature expressing itself moment by moment, and something we do. A disciplined practice through which we can realize the joy of being. It is not a belief system to which one converts. There is no dogma or doctrine. Zen is the direct experience of what we might call ultimate reality, or the absolute. Yet it is not separate from the ordinary, the relative. This direct experience is our birthright. The practice of Zazen, meditation, is a way of realizing the non-dualistic, vibrant, subtle, and interconnected nature of all life. I'm going to read that again and just share some thoughts on it that will help to illustrate how the paradigms that Christian people and non-Christian people have about each other's beliefs are not in accordance with reality, and those paradigms just separate them instead of us all realizing what reality is and coming to a greater understanding of it as human beings. So, what is Zen? It is both something we are, our true nature expressing itself moment by moment, which in Christ we find our true nature, and we get away from all of the lies that are not our true nature, and something we do, a disciplined practice through which we can realize the joy of being. In Christ, we leave the dualistic nature, which it talks about later in the paragraph, and enter a realm where we can just enjoy being. Christ's main purpose was to give life in all of its fullness. That's John 10 something. So in Christ, we actually attain to that joy of being in our true nature, which God, the creator of all things, Christ's Father, originally planned for us. There is no dogma or doctrine. Okay? In Christ, when you realize that Christ and God are the sustainers of all life in the universe, it's much less of a dogma or a doctrine, and it's actually an entrance into life. If Christianity was presented less as a set of rules to live by and a dogma to adhere to, and more as a entrance into life from the giver of all life, the sustainer of all life, Christ's Father, the creator of all things. See the similarity? Zen is the direct experience of what we might call ultimate reality, or the absolute. Who is the ultimate reality in the absolute? It's God. It's the creator. And Christ is the expression of him in human form, come to show us who the ultimate reality is. God, his Father. Who the absolute is. God is the absolute. Christ is showing us the absolute. Yet it is not separate from the ordinary or the relative, right? Because Christ and God, as the sources of all existence, are actually holding together the very fabric of our existence. The humdrum, the normal. God is in it all. Christ is in it all because they're keeping it all running. This direct experience is our birthright. God originally created us to live in pure life without the knowledge of good and evil. Where is that in the Bible, Jesse? It's in Genesis 1:2. It's at the very beginning. It is our birthright. We're trying to get our birthright back. How do you get it back? In Christ. So, Zen people are not that far out. This definition of Zen sounds like, wow, they're really trying to get a hold of Christ and God. But they really don't like the religion called Christianity, wherein you have to adhere to very strict dogma and you have to be very good. Let's address that one. Well, actually, yeah. So, in Christ, the constant need to be good is actually taken care of. If you study the New Testament in depth, you find that Christ solved that for us. It's no longer a race to be good. It's done in Christ. It's complete. Let's read more. The practice of Zazen, meditation, that's fine. You can meditate. People in the Bible meditated. Christians meditate. What to do? Meditation is neutral. Is a way of realizing the non-dualistic. Let's stop right there. Christ releases us from dualism. God's original command to humanity was not to partake of the knowledge of good and evil. That's where dualism started. Right there. All cultures down throughout all of history have recognized human beings living in dualism. And that is the original problem. Because when you get out of dualism, good and bad, right and wrong, You enter the realm of pure life because you're not required to make judgments about what's right and wrong and good and bad. You just have pure life in Christ. So it's kind of surprising to me that Zen people recognize that we need to be non-dualistic and Christians don't. Some Christians don't. Sorry, I never like to lump everybody into categories because I don't know everybody. But I will speak for the Christians that I have known. It's been very few, I wouldn't say none, but it's been very few that have recognized that we need to leave dualism because dualism is the problem. So, non-dualistic, vibrant, Christ, God, the sustainers of all life. You look at vibrant, you look at a jungle, you look at a rainforest, you look at the coral reefs, you look at anything on earth that's vibrant, right? Human life in its finest, it's vibrant, right? Stars are vibrant. Life and beautiful life is vibrant, right? Zen people want vibrancy. Christ is vibrant. God is vibrant. Subtle. It's subtle because, as every Christian knows, Christ and God are not really in your face. It's hard. Well, I wouldn't say it's hard. It takes time to become aware of them. It takes time to grow into them. It takes time to learn about them. It takes time to be introduced to them and realize this stuff. But everybody, all human beings, can sense God, right? But it's subtle. The Native Americans, they used to, sense life in everything, in all of creation. Because as human beings, we can sense God, right? We can sense a life force sustaining everything. And interconnected nature of all life. So, when Zen or other similar belief systems talk about being one with nature, this interconnected nature of all life, being one with the universe, normally in some circles, that would be looked down upon. And the red flags would go up. In some Christian circles, that is what would happen. But the Bible actually teaches that in Christ we are one with the Lord, it says in Corinthians. He who has joined himself to the Lord is one spirit with him. I have been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but it's Christ who lives in me. Christ is my life. So, why this division? Why this split? Why Zen over here? They're the bad guys if you're in the Christian camp, and Christianity over here, and you're the bad guys if you're in the Zen camp. Sounds to me like the same thing. And I know when I say that, all these red flags go up. Oh my God! Did you miss everything I just said? Yes, I know Christ is true. I know the Bible is true. I'm just pointing out I'm trying to do what I originally said. Point out that Zen people are not the bad guys. They're actually sensing truths that are found in Christ. Do they need to realize Christ? Yes, and they will. Especially if we quit judging them and calling them bad.